So what most people imagine about stimulating the vagina is that the G-spot is the sensitive area inside the vagina. So stimulating the vagina is about stimulating the G-spot. There are actually 4 areas inside the vagina that can be stimulated that are quite common for a lot of women. And the G-spot is actually not the most potent, not the most powerful. I'm gonna put those 4 sensitive areas inside the vagina for you today in the order to the most powerful, in which the G-spot actually takes the 3rd place out of 4 in my books. I'm Alexey Welsh. I have been working with women for 20 years as a sex coach and a sex therapist. I am perfectly aware that what I'm going to tell you is not conventional, and a lot of sources online will tell you something different. But I simply can't tell you anything different because I have seen this to be the reality in my experience of working with women. I'm just telling you what I have learned from that direct communication with clients, with many women in that coaching space, the experiences that so many women communicated to me. So let's start with the first one, the bottom one in my rankings of 4. In the 4th place out of 4, I would put the opening to the vagina, the entrance to the vagina, and particularly the top part of the entrance is more sensitive. Women can feel a lot of pleasure there if you move through it more slowly. Can be done with a finger, can be done with an object, can be done with a penis. There is also some really lovely intense stimulation you can get when you're using 2 fingers or a large object or a large penis that is stretching the opening. So that gives a lot of pleasure from that area as well. So a very lovely area, and in a lot of women it tends to be the most sensitive area. Then we have the G-spot. There's been a lot of content on the G-spot online, you've seen it all, which is kind of roughly halfway into the vagina, a little bit closer than halfway. So it's an area on the top wall that you will typically stimulate with fingers or with a tool. You will typically not stimulate it very well with the penetration because it's not going to be direct enough. To an extent, you will touch it with the penis, but for proper stimulation of the G-spot, you would be using either fingers or a tool that is designed for the G-spot, one of those hooked ones. Now, the G-spot has the fame of being, the sensitive area in the vagina, the most intense area in the vagina. You can get a fairly strong sensation with the G-spot if you're stimulating it well. Now, a little known fact that you can't perceive from the content online is that a lot of women don't feel much in the G-spot. It is normally presented like all women are gonna feel really amazing there if you stimulate it, but some women have it sensitive and some women just do not have a sensitive G-spot and they don't feel much from it, but they will feel a lot from other areas in the vagina. So when you stimulate the G-spot, it gives a similar feeling to the clitoris, a similar kind of sexual sensation that vibrates into her body. Normally you will hear that it is more intense than the clitoris, but that is true only for some women. For other women, the clitoris will give them more intense sensation than the G-spot. But when the G-spot is intense, it can be, a lot more intense than the area around the opening to the vagina, which is why I put the G-spot into the 3rd place. Now, in the 2nd place, the 2nd most powerful area in the vagina, I would put the A-spot. The A-spot is a sensitive area in the bottom of the vagina, at the back of the vagina, on the top wall. So you would normally stimulate it with a finger or 2 fingers, going really deep, and pretty much with a straight finger you'd be stimulating that top area. Now, sometimes you will reach the back of the vagina with a finger, and sometimes you will not, because the vagina will be deeper. But you generally are still able, in most cases, to give a nice sensation to the A-spot, even if you are not all the way in. So the A-spot is a very interesting place. Why do I rank it as more powerful than G-spot, even though the G-spot is more well known as the pleasure area of the vagina? Well, the A-spot stimulation is quite rare. Not a lot of people do it. And then not a lot of people do it well. It's actually not difficult at all to stimulate the A-spot well. It's not some kind of a secret, advanced technique. It's pretty straightforward. It's just people don't know about it much. The first reason I rank it as more powerful than the G-spot is because it gives often a more satisfying sensation. This is the only way that women have been able to describe it to me. Somehow it is more special, more nourishing, more satisfying than the G-spot stimulation. It's like it has a different flavor, a different quality to it. It seems to go somehow deeper into their body, into their mind, shoot deeper into them, give a more interesting, blissful experience, just comparatively to the G-spot. But this point can be a bit debated, what can we say is nicer, G-spot or A-spot? It could be quite subjective. But the second reason why I rank the A-spot higher than the G-spot is because I have found it to be more common, more easily accessible for women. The G-spot can be on and off for women. Some women feel the G-spot, some women don't. She might have both areas sensitive, and that is often the case. But when it is only one, you are more likely to find her sensitive in the A-spot than you are likely to find that G-spot feels good for her. So let me just make a quick break here to mention that if you want to learn more, I have a full online course for men where I teach you the complete practice for sex, the full understanding of women and every technique for every part of sex that you need to be an advanced lover. The link to my course is in the description below the video. And then the top sensitive area in the vagina, I would say, is the cervix at the back of the vagina. The back of the vagina is stimulated with deep penetration, either with the penis or with an object. In some cases, you might be able to reach it with fingers, but it's going to be generally quite awkward and not really stimulating it enough. Now, the cervix is not a very specific spot like the G-spot or the A-spot. This whole area with kind of a large stimulation there can become really, really powerful. When women are stimulated well in the cervix, this can often cause really strong, powerful, intense waves of sexual energy really flowing through her body. And women typically feel really deeply nourished from that kind of sexual energy. So that is why I rank it as the most powerful sexual energy in the vagina. However, the thing with the cervix is that it can be totally the opposite, because it is also an area that is often stimulated badly by guys in penetration. And women often experience a lot of pain and discomfort there. So not only it might not be the most powerful area, it might be like, the most horrible area for her to feel in the vagina sometimes. So the cervical area is only given that powerful sexual energy when you really know how to do it and you do it really well. If you want to learn about this, you can get my free course on cervical orgasms below this video in the description. Just follow the link. It's completely free for you. There's all the detail, the full demo and everything. And also it is not immediate. For women, a lot of the time they need to kind of go through a process of opening and relaxing in that area and connecting with that area for it to become gradually more and more awake and able to give them that sexual energy. Now, when we talk about which are the most powerful sensitive areas inside the vagina for women, there are a few things I want to clarify straight away to avoid any argument. First of all, I'm talking statistically. The most powerful area in the vagina means that it's very common for a lot of women, but it doesn't mean for all women. Women typically have a unique profile of sensitive areas in the vagina. Some areas are more sensitive than others. Some areas are completely not sensitive. It can be quite random. And your partner might very well have a different order to what I'm given in this video, and that would be completely normal to your partner. So these are most commonly most powerful areas, but you can simply explore with your partner which of those areas work the best for her, and you might end up with a different order. The other thing I want to communicate, these sensitive areas are not just statically sensitive. It depends what you do. It depends how good your technique is. It depends if you are turning her on, if she is connecting, if you are using a nice touch. She might have a really lovely sensitive G-spot, but she feels nothing with the technique that you are using. Thirdly, not all women have these areas developed. Sensitivity in the vagina can increase in her life, can decrease in her life with certain practices. And fourth, this is all a little bit subjective. We can't have an exact metric for, the amount of pleasure, because pleasure can feel in different ways, in different colors. But on the whole, over the 20 years of hearing from women what they experience, I was left with the impression that these areas are more powerful for them than those on the whole. So I'm just communicating this to you to explore this with your partner and hopefully find some new nice experiences. I don't mean this as I know exactly how your partner works. Another thing to watch from here is the different kinds of orgasmic experiences that she can have in the vagina because of these different areas. So go and watch my video on the different types of vaginal experiences, vaginal orgasms.